As decision-making demands continue to grow, Andy Cohen, consultant, author, speaker, makes the complex simple.
Innovation is more than just a great idea.
Using magic as metaphor, Andy engages, educates, and motivates global corporations to challenge their assumptions and think differently about innovation and leadership every day.
Well, in Escaping from a Straitjacket, what I will be doing is I will be teaching you the six rules of leadership engagement. Innovation is more than just a great idea, more than just happenstance. It is a process that is based on a vision, a mission, a solid business plan, and an execution. But it is my belief that unless you can engage people, unless you can get them to listen, unless that you can motivate them into action or get them to buy in to your plan, then the most brilliant vision, the greatest idea, the most wonderful business plan is worthless. I, Andy Cohen, am going to challenge Harry Houdini, who some think is the greatest escape artist in the world, until now, to see who can get out of the straitjacket the quickest. In Escaping from a Straitjacket, I will teach you these six rules of leadership engagement. Rule number one is the concept, what I call break a sweat. Now, break a sweat really is about demonstrating a struggle. I learned this from Jack Welch. Jack Welch, he really talks about this, that in order to motivate people today into action, what you need to do is as a leader, you need to let them see you struggle. When they see a leader struggle, it creates emotional connection to the group. It's a very, very powerful tool. Rule number three is to create a sustainable experience. This is really crucial. Apple does this. Southwest Airlines does this. Starbucks is wrestling with this now. The idea is once you create an experience that people buy into, then you must find ways to sustain that experience. Or rule number four is provide transparency. This is really crucial today. People want to know, your workers, your teams want to know, what are we getting into, why are we getting into it, and what am I going to get out of it? As tight as you can go. 1, 2, 3. Rule number one is to demonstrate a struggle. Rule number two is to create a challenge.
Ian, I'd like you and all three of you to think about a passion that you have. Can you identify a passion? One that you can share with us.
Ice hockey.
What?
Ice hockey.
Ice hockey. Okay, good. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to imagine this as a puck, and you're going to create a story. So instead of just performing the French drop, you're going to tell a little story using the coin, right? Okay. To illustrate your passion. Okay, so you're an integrator. So for example, I don't want to tell you what to say, but so, you might talk about how in ice hockey, how hard it is to hit the puck. But you want to do the trick as you are telling the story. Not yet. I'm going to give you a minute to think. Okay? I give you Ian the Magnificent.
So it was the final game, and there was 10 seconds left. I took the puck from center ice, stepped over the blue line, and I wound up to take a slap shot, and...
Show it empty. It's gone. Hey! Great. Okay. I give you Fabioso.
I went to this very nice place where there were horse races, and I was this golden coin in my hand.
And I've just demonstrated, because I've taught all of you the same secret at the same time in exactly the same way. And yet, each one of these gentlemen got up and they performed the French drop completely differently. So it's not about the secret, it's about themselves. And the reason I ask them to build it around the passion is I believe there are three essential elements to identify the question or answer the question, what is your magic? Because I think that is the question that needs to be asked. Not what is the secret, but what is my magic? My magic as an individual, my magic as a company. And so these are the three things I invite you to think about. First, what you want to do is you want to leverage your strengths. This is what we call classic Coke. I'll put it in the bag. Classic Coke. And what they did was they were so afraid, Coca-Cola was so afraid of the press, of the media, of the competition finding out that they were changing their formula. And the reason they were changing the formula is that their market share was dipping because they were losing market share to sweeter flavors. So they needed to change their formula so it would be a sweeter flavor. And that's what they did. And they went and they did their due diligence and they tested. They tested new Coke against old Coke or classic Coke. And you know what won in the taste test? New Coke won. New Coke won. But they were so paranoid, that anyone would find out they changed the formula, that they only conducted blind taste tests. Only blind taste tests. They never actually had somebody taste real Coke, classic Coke, against new Coke in its own bottle. And so based on the assumption that it won in the taste test, they rolled out. And that assumption cost them significant dollars, loss of market share, quite an embarrassment. And the moral of that is when you, oh, look at this, here. I always like doing this. Watch, I'll make it disappear. How's that? See? See, you're making an assumption right now. See, the power of assumption is when you make an assumption and you treat it as a truth rather than a set of beliefs. It's very easy to watch your profits disappear. Now, we're not here to talk about, I mean, we could talk about case histories all night of people that followed the wrong assumption, but we're really here to talk about a process to innovate, a process that is going to help you really think differently. Really think differently. And what I'd like to do is demonstrate it in a very, very simple way. You see, I believe that the principle of assumption has a power. And if we understand that power, we can use it in many, many different ways. So, for example, this is a silver dollar. Now, ma'am, can I ask you, how many silver dollars do you think I have in this hand? One. In one. See, that would be the assumption. But if you were to challenge that assumption, where would that lead you? How many would be in this hand if you were to challenge that assumption? Zero. Right. That's exactly right. You see, one minute you think the coin is in this hand, but if you were to challenge that assumption, you discover the coin is not in this hand. And in essence, you would have discovered the coin is still in the left hand. In other words, you would have discovered a new business solution that you did not think existed before. You see, we live in a world where there's so much information that after a while, we all begin to believe the same information. And when we all start thinking alike, nobody is truly thinking. So the fastest way, I believe, the fastest way to innovate, to create, to generate new ideas is, in a sense, to follow the other hand. Everyone will be looking at this hand. You challenge that assumption, and you begin to follow the other hand.